Hello, everybody. And this is a third meeting of a series of 3 meetings. And I structured these 3 meetings in a kind of a flow. If one has taken part in all the 3, maybe one can see it. If not, it's not a problem. And also I tried to combine that with the other 3 meetings with the Moscow group. So there are altogether now, this is now 6 meetings in 3 weeks, and they have all a kind of a connection. And this I will anyway send out more written to all the people who get the information about these meetings anyway. It is something we can do and we can work with. And so I wanted ask you for this meeting to go with me to a little experiment too. And maybe you can, in case you go also to other meetings with some other people, you would like to try it out there, and you can try it out silently without telling the other people, or you can also maybe speak to 1 or 2 or as you like. I have a question. I think many of you who have done some work with me may remember one exercise that we were walking through the room and had in mind one spot in the room. Do you know that? And it doesn't matter what we were doing, if we were running, if we were jumping, always I try to be connected with that spot in the space, even when I not look at it. And then we enlarged that to have 2 spots in a different direction, and walk through the space and have a little conversation with someone and speak with someone and so on. And of course, you know, we developed it in the direction to have 3 spots and some more. And that was, or that is already a kind of exercise. It is an exercise to develop a way for the open concentration, to be connected with that and with that. Maybe 2 things, maybe 1. It's great to have 1. And don't lose it in your mind, don't lose it out of your mind, don't lose it out of your sensation in the space. That was one part of this exercise. And then there was another one, and the other one is a little bit more funny and more complicated. On one hand, that the spot is another person, and this person don't know that it is a spot for you. And even this person has another person in the space as a spot. You understand? Do you remember that? Somebody remember that? So it was also widened up, enlarged to have 2 people in mind, have 3 people in mind, have 5 people in mind. At least have everybody, all the 16, 17 or 12 or 5 people in space in mind, to be connected with them, but you do your movement, you do your action. Maybe you do also a kind of a conversation. This exercise is a wonderful one. One can repeat that. It's worth to repeat that many times because it gives a different sense to be connected with something in the space. To be connected with something, what you would like to have connected with. For pedagogic people, especially if they work with people with special needs, also there are sometimes people with special needs they are very, very flexible, and they are very silently, and they are very fast moving, and you don't know where they are now. And when you have ever worked with such people. So if you know your candidate, then it is helpful to have done such an exercise and have trained this power of concentration in this open way. So you concentrate to that person, but you can work with all the other, but this person is also in your spot. And if it are three, then you have three in your spot. And you will develop a sense mostly to know where they are. And you can work also with the other five. So this is a very nice, interesting exercise we have done, and I just wanted to remind you, because I would like to do with you a little experiment, and you may try out. If you like to do it, you can do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Feel free. Yeah. There is this point, there is this screen in front of us. And such a screen has, from its individuality, the screen is an individuality, it's a being. Okay, this screen has from its being something like the tendency to pull you into it. It would like to pull you fully into it, but it can't, because then you will beat your head. But you sense also in your soul a little bit this tendency that you get pulled to it, into it. Okay. When you have done some film video session, have watched a lot of videos, or half an hour the videos on your social media things and so on, there's the same tendency. Then one feels afterwards a little bit, oh my God, I have to come back to the reality, because this tendency to be pulled into it, be drawn into it, this tendency is resonating even when you switch it off for a moment. There's, and then there is nothing. And this is just the opposite way of being in the reality. Being in the reality is, there's a reality, here I am, and I have a conversation through my senses with it. It's a conversation. And so the experiment is twice. You may try to develop this quality for your observing, that you say, okay, hello, screen, you are there. I have there nice pictures of wonderful people. These pictures are pictures of the people. The people are not there. They are not there. Where are they? They are, close to Stuttgart. In Berlin. Oh no, in Moscow. My concentration is there, to Spain, to Hamburg, to Munich, to London. I understand. Using the power of this exercise, you may choose one person and go through your center and chest, through your backspace, out where you imagine this person is. It's not here. It's quite clear. It's, from my point of view, and this is the experiment, how would it feel like for you, if you try that, to connect with one person more in an imaginative reality? And the other point is, create a distance. Oh, that's a picture. That's a picture, okay, it's nice. And through the picture, I know who is here, that's okay. I have it's a reality, the picture is a reality. but the people are not the reality there. The reality of the people is where they are. Can one follow? Can you follow? This is the experiment. How would it maybe change first my attitude to that media meeting through the media? And second, how would it maybe change the relationship of all the others to all the other? How does one feel afterwards? How is it with that what we could sense? Many people have spoken to me about that. After such 1 hour Zoom meeting, one is tired and feels empty, and it's maybe something is possible to change. So this is an experiment. I would like to invite you, trying to hold that screen in distance to you. Oh, hello, that's a screen there. It's a reality. I sense this tendency this reality has, but my connection is to you there, and not through that media. Do you understand? Because this is the most illusion. And imagination is less an illusion as that. Joerg thinks like that. You don't need to think in the same way. It's just an invitation for this experiment, for this session, and to explore how it works for you. And explore also how many concentration it needs. Yeah, it is really funny. It's as all that Chekhov exercises. It gives you so much fun. Gives you so much fun because you explore so much about yourself, and that makes you laughing about your own personal structure. Yeah, isn't it always nice to see, oh God, I have such and such nice personal structure, and my soul is working in this way, my mind is working in this way. So it's for exploration. That was my pre-word for this third session, and we can try to work with that. And you can also switch on the speaker view. Then you have the speaker view, and then hold this speaker view, big picture, hold it in distance. And if you like to connect with this person who is speaking, try to connect through your imagination. Imagine, where is this person? And the point is not that this is what you imagine if you're not 100% know. Is that imagination is a true picture of that real situation. But you try to connect to that and you will find something. Okay, how does that sound? You can speak what you like. Anybody would like to try it? Also, maybe for future use. Yeah, you can shake your head or like, or as you like. Is it understandable? Is there any question?
Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good.
Joerg,
Yeah.
I wonder if you're just connecting to the place itself, to the person in the place, or I don't know.
I didn't get it.
Are we just connecting to the person in the place You're reimagining the person to be right now? Or
yes, of course, in the moment, in this time now. Yeah, not. I wouldn't say to do that in the way that you go to a memorized picture of this person and focus now this memorized or a memorized situation where you have met this person and focus to that memory. This is not the meaning for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go out, and it's a little bit of fiction, of course. You go out to the center and the chest, of course. Radiate. And maybe who would like to experiment, just try it with one person. And when you have later on the speaker view, then you involve spontaneous this person who is speaking as a second one. So it's a lot of concentration what you need for that, if you like. And hold that screen in front of you. Oh, it's nice that there's a screen. It's like a picture at the wall. And don't let you pull in. Even that, maybe it's a nice exploration. Okay, I see some people have already started to move. Yeah. So we do a little moving session. Okay. I would like to go today, just as a reminder, to the archetypal gestures. This is such a theme what again and again creates some questions. And we remember what is an archetypal gesture. It has to do with a movement. And before we do that, we say, everybody individual, you across for yourself the threshold into your moving space and to your creative acting space, and how you can make it possible that you feel a little bit comfortable in your space alone. And if you like, you have the connection to one person, and you may imagine this person there is moving also, but you are crossing the threshold and you are together in one space. Maybe don't put in too much. Okay, welcome. Yeah. So, wide movements, free movements, just move your body in the space, choose for yourself, involve your full body, also legs and feet and toes, and move. And you can pay attention to that you have asymmetrical movements. Symmetrical movements would be something like that, or these. You can also make asymmetrical. That was also symmetric. Playing with the movement, Move your body, center in the chest, and move this little space. Move in this little space. And you can do a movement as if you would like something turn and look from the other side. Understand? Yeah. Up and turn something. Okay. Just a movement. Turn something. Press something away with your full body in different directions. Kick something away. That's a traditional mistake, to leave your mobile on and find some other movements in the way. And open up and close, and open up and close. Okay, we want to do more or less the same movements or something like that with the awareness of having no muscle tension. So when you get the image, you would push something away that you not act it in a way, yeah. No. Just, okay. The movement of pressing something away. The movement of something push away. You don't need the power as if you kick a ball. No, too much. Just the movement. And to turn something, it has in this way no weight. Because we do the movement, we focus on movement. The movement has no weight. The movement has no muscle power in this way. We work with the muscles to move our body. Because, yeah, okay, movement. And widen up and closing and taking something and push it in front of you. Taking, wow. You can, as if you press out the water from something, from fabric. The movement. As if you would like to open something. So there are many, many movements possible one can do, and you will find it when you would like to go in the next time with a suggestion of that what we are doing here. You find it, I will tell you then, in the book To the Actor, described in the exercise 1, many possibilities for the movement. The important point is, it's also said there that we avoid to have muscle tension and that we avoid to act what this action or this movement is suggesting. Lifting something, for instance. Lifting something. Yeah, that it's a movement. My full body is moving, and there is a full space involved. Bringing something down, pressing something down. This is a movement. This movement is not muscle tensed, but the movement is also not slappy. Can I find the balance that there is a kind of a power in it, but it is not tense. And the full body. I can push something. I can push something with my back and shoulder, with my body. With the full. I can throw something. Throw something. I can also throw in another way. I can throw. No muscle tension, no acting. As if you want act now to throw a tomato to someone. No, it's not acting, no. So, awaking these movements. And then we can go a step to the next direction. This is the archetypal movement or the archetypal gesture. Interesting is that Chekhov speaks about, and this is just a reminder, in that when he speaks in the chapter about the psychological gesture, that there are two kinds of gestures. And gesture, we know it's a movement with an intention. Gesture is a movement with a, in this way, with an aim. And it's not only the movement, but the movement is a ground for the gesture. And so we can also study, yes, Leo, we can study all the, it's great, we can all the gestures study first as a movement. This is very interesting, even when you peel a potato. What is a movement? You focus on movement of it. And Chekhov speaks about that, and it's always worth to read that once more because it gives a clear understanding. There are two kinds of gestures. One we use both while acting on the stage and in everyday life. These are our stage actions, our stage gestures. Yeah, because in this working with in the play with actions, we do something. One of these gestures we are both using in daily life and on the stage. He calls them the natural and usual gestures. The other kind is what might be called the archetypal gesture. One which serves as an original model for all possible gestures of the same kind. Archetypal gestures, another kind of gestures. And he say what might be called the archetypal gesture. One which serves as an original model for all possible gestures of the same kind. Okay. A model, what is a model? Yeah, it's a ground, it's something what relates to these and these and these. Not, I don't mean the model on the catwalk now, the model for something. And for all of the same, all possible gestures of the same kind. So let's try something like that. Let's say you have something that's a kind of a daily life gesture. You have something and you give it to someone. Well, it's a gesture of giving. And you walk, or maybe with a step, or you don't have a step, give. It's a movement with an intention. A movement with an intention. And there's another gesture, yeah. It starts with another one before, but there is something, you take it. There's something, the gesture of taking. It's a daily life gesture. It's a stage gesture. Now we do it, of course, as an exercise and not in the most natural way or whatever, just to understand what we would like to explore. Taking, I take it. Let's work with these both. And then when I have a book, I give it to someone, then there is something different possible. I can also give something. Can you see that? A small thing, using only one hand. Or somebody is giving, now here, it's okay, here you have a cigarette. Yeah, out of my cigarette box. And there's of course a possibility, okay, to perceive, to take the cigarette. There is the possibility to take the pencil. Yeah, coming here, and okay, I take it. I take it. Daily life gestures. It is every time we have one of the basic archetypal gestures are giving and receiving, paying at the cash box, taking your things you have bought, and also very, very much. And always the actual gesture is a little bit different from the gesture you have done before. So all these daily life gestures have one part in it. What is it? And we look to the giving the money, giving a cigarette, giving someone or bringing someone a cup of tea and give it to him, to her. What is in that? There's a movement in it. What we first can receive or understand is a movement what goes from me to there. Yeah? Quite clear, it's so simple. From me to there. Aha. And in all the taking thing, it is from there to me. all what has to do with taking or receiving. There to me, even, I got your idea. I take your idea. Something comes to me, what I now understand, through the words. All the taking have one tendency in it, it goes from there to me. So, and now we can try to find a possibility with our full body to create this general movement, general gesture, what is beyond all of these different giving gestures, for instance. Yeah, that's an idea. How is a movement? How is it this going from me to there? This. What is a movement in it? For giving, let's say, for all that givings, all the daily life gestures of giving or bringing something to someone. Where does it happen? Where does it happen archetypic? Of course, I can also put something on my legs and try to carry it on my legs to bring it to someone. There's also something in it, what is with my full body, then I bring it. But it mostly, it moves in this area. But we want involve our imagination and we want involve our will area, the willpower. So we try to make these general from me to you or from me to there gesture as big as possible. Involving the full body movement as big as possible. Of course, you can also give up and you can give down. But these are more specific directions. From me to there. And then we see, full body gets involved. But there is a little mystery in it. When does that gesture start and when does it end? Is there an end of the gesture? Well, what happens then? What happens in the end? Is it over? So we can add to the end of this big full body movement that we radiate this movement, because every movement has a radiation. We need to imagine it. Our daily life habit doesn't work so much with this radiation. Oh, I give the money and then it's gone. I don't radiate with the giving of the money. Maybe it would change a lot if one would radiate. So we do the full body movement, and in the end, we radiate this stream of activity through our body just in the direction of the movement. we have a little bit in the daily life actions. If you give someone a cigarette, you don't do such a big giving. Here's your cigarette. Here's a cigarette. It's a very little movement. Okay, yeah, I have here. And I take that out, and or this person is taking it. But when you give it, okay, here. It's not so big movement. But when we do that, even then, in the real giving, even with a book, until the moment the other is taking it, we always radiate. Can you follow? Giving, yeah, has taken it. Yeah. So, and now we do it more in a huge, big, wide way as a movement, and give and radiate. And this radiation is our imagination. Of course, a movement should be connected with our center and chest. We try it once more. Radiate. And then we try one bit in a quality direction. We do this big movement, radiate, then we drop the physical movement, the physical gesture, but radiate, sustaining the radiation of that gesture. As if it is still going on as a giving. Through my mind, I lead that here. One time more. Okay, this needs to get explored for the archetypal gestures. This is what we call, after the action itself, the radiation, the sustaining of that what the gesture was radiating, giving, what the gesture was aiming for. And there's another part, we haven't touched it now, it's when does this giving begin? Here. When does this action start? I'm here. Now I have to take the book. It's not giving. I'm taking the book. This is what I want to give. When does it start? Is there a moment that the giving starts? Maybe mentally it starts when I want to give this person the book. I have an image that I give it to this person. But from the physical, psychophysical mode, there's an impulse. The impulse out of that comes this gesture. Let's say with our imagination, we create that impulse and we sense that there, before we come to that moment of the movement for giving, there is, wherever I am, in which position I am, I want to give someone a book. Okay, I do a preparatory movement to come to the point that I really can give. That the movement of giving really happens. I have to prepare it. Give. I do a movement, what is not the giving itself, but it has to do with the giving because it prepares my gesture of giving. Now we are in the archetypal direction. Preparatory movement and impulse and give. Or preparatory, give, impulse giving. There are now two possibilities. This preparatory movement is mostly also a psychophysical. It's also with the body. Maybe one does it in a small one, or one can do it also as a big. Why do you want to remind oneself, oh, I want to work with a full space because the power and all the things what I need for my life comes out of the sphere of the space. And I awake that, I work with space, and then I come to the point to give, and then I radiate. We can try one time with a big preparatory movement to come to the point where the impulse steps in, awakening all the space around me, coming to that giving, radiating. You will explore that when you do such different archetypal movements and explore them for yourself. This is a training to play around with it and become interested. How does it work with a receiving? How does it work with pushing something to the ground? How does it work with a daily life gesture of what is that? The daily life gesture. Yeah, or give me space, give me space. What is an archetypal movement for them? And what is the radiation of it, of the archetypal movement? And what is a preparatory movement for that? Not for the daily life movement. In the daily life, the movements go, the gestures move one into the other. When we study that, and to make it more powerful, to make our actions on stage more powerful, then it's very helpful to study the archetypal gesture in the background of it. So, for giving one time, full space, and there's the interesting transformation. I awake that space, the sphere around me. I come to my center. And out of that, if I find the impulse for giving and radiate in a stream. Sphere transformed through myself to stream, becomes concentrated. It is with different gestures. Also, this quality is shifting a bit. But it's very interesting to become aware of that transformation. Awakening the space and coming to myself, impulse, giving and radiating. Let it stream, let it stream. All came together to me and streams into the space, creates a power. But my movement is not muscle tensed. We have, for the archetypal gesture, in this way, in this meaning, 3 points to look at. A kind of a preparation, it is always mental and physical, psychophysical. Preparation, how I can do it also small, but I have to work with a space. I can imagine that. that I take all, from all the space, I take that coming to the point to give and radiate, and radiate, and radiate, and say thank you. Preparation, impulse and action, radiation, radiation, radiation. For the first training, it is very helpful just have that radiation connected, preparation, radiation, radiate, radiate in this over the border of the body with a full being. Also that radiates the full body. And say, okay. When you do such a movement, let's say we do it one time more, with a full body, try not to do it too fast. Don't do it too carefully. And try to sense that your full body gets involved into the full space, even when you do a small preparation. Full body, also legs and feet and head. And then it comes to the impulse. There, out of the impulse, it comes to the action itself. And also your stepping moves a giving. It's involved in the giving and radiate, radiate, radiate. So you try it one time for yourself, one time more, and we close that up then. Okay. So we did it only with one gesture to explore a little bit what can it mean to have an archetypal gesture. That means using your possibility of free movements. No muscle tension, but energetic, with energy or with power. And we distinguish between the action itself and the sustaining, the radiation afterwards, or with it and afterwards, and with the preparation, what is mentally involving the full space, as we have done with the very first movement, just to play around. And so we give the action what is in such a gesture, we give a very strong power. There's a preparation, there's the action itself, and there's always a radiation. This training of the archetypal gestures develops a wonderful sense for your movements, for your stage actions, and also for your daily life actions, if you would like to be aware of that in daily life. We don't need, but we can live our life as we do. We don't need to put all the acting techniques into the daily life things. But it's very interesting to explore how such a training with an archetypal gesture develops a different sense for the movement, or a different side of the sense for the movement. in this To the Actor book, I have this one, on page 70, he speaks about this archetypal gestures. And then he says there that one can prepare the archetypal gestures through the exercises in exercise 1, what is on page 5. This kind of movements, the different movements, wide movements, using the full space, avoiding muscle tension, and creating the sense for the movement itself to transform it then into a gesture with an intention. And explore through the archetypal gestures what is beyond all of that givings in this example we have had. And you may try out with the receiving. All that giving gestures have something in the background working as an archetypal gesture. These archetypal gestures one can also do as a next training step as an inner gesture. As an inner gesture, that means giving the impulse into your body, but your body is doing something different or is doing a small outer gesture. So it develops a wonderful possibility to develop something for real inner gestures. And what are inner gestures? Who is doing inner gestures? Our soul. All what happens in our soul is from one side, from one perspective, also a gesture. And in our speech, in our speaking, when we speak about our inner life to someone, we speak very much also about some movements and about some gestures, what happens in the soul. So that comes then to another step, but the psychophysical training is the movement, sense for movement with movement in the space, and then with a gesture to explore the archetypal movement behind every gesture, full body movement, full space involvement, preparation, action itself, and sustaining radiation. Okay. There's something to explore. You see, we have done over half an hour for that. One thing. And it's nice. It's so enjoyable to explore. Even some movements and gestures are not written here. Be interested, become interested, try to find out. And that's always a Chekhov work. What is another side effect by doing such a training? By doing this with a own deep interest. The other side effect is that one is developing a sense for gestures, a sense for movements, a sense for gestures, not only in the physical world, also in the world of the souls. This is the wonderful thing, what we find always with the Chekhov technique. It goes wider, goes deeper, as it seems in the first moment, just like in making some movements. Yeah. So that is that. Any questions? You can switch on your microphone when you have a question, or or give a sign and you can speak, or take a moment. After all my speaking, maybe you need a moment to refresh the connection to the person you had in mind, to refresh the distance to that screen.
I had one question.
Yeah?
Yeah. About the preparation for an archetypal gesture. Because I always try to do very much full body. But for example, for pushing, when I do this, I almost feel I'm blocking myself by making it so big. And now when I try to make it smaller, I kept it a bit closer to myself. I felt it much more. And I felt much more the energy going through me. And I feel almost like when I this word of, or these two words, full body, maybe it makes me make it too big, and therefore I feel like, oh, this is the limit of my body. I'm overstretching myself a little bit.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. To overstretch it. Fine, that's the exploration. How does it work for you? That you have for yourself the sense, I involve my full body, even when you do it as a small preparation.
Yeah, it's okay.
As a small preparation movement. There is always a small preparation because we are not in the state of the beginning of the gesture we want to do. We have always to go to the moment when the impulse of this gesture comes. Yeah. And this is the preparation movement, and find it out what works for you better. So you don't need to go so far away and never overstretch it. That's, you can do it very okay. And here, this. Yeah, but there is a moment of, okay, I have to come to the point that I can go to the giving. Yeah. And this awakes mentally the awareness, okay, there is some, I know I want to give something, but okay, when is the right moment? When is the moment? When is the input there? I prepare it, and I can sustain the preparation also. I can wait, and here. Psychologically, we know that you go to a birthday and you have your present, and then there are 10 other people giving the present to the person. You are always inwardly prepared to give the present. Yeah, and sometimes we say, okay, I wait, I take first a drink, and then I go back when this person is alone, or however. But we know that also this state, so we prepare that we give it. Psychologically and also physically. And then we have a preparatory movement. We take it out of the bag as a gesture. Take out of the bag. And then comes the impulse here. And then we wait, then we sustain until the person comes and take it. Yeah? So, and this we try to bring in a very full body involving movement, full space involving movement, and the awareness of the mind for that space and the sustaining. Yeah, another question. Or not. Or...
I would like to say, for me, hi, was very helpful now because I didn't do it before actually. This moment in between, when after the preparatory movement and before actually doing the movement, to do it from the center in the chest, like again to connect at this moment in between. And I actually did these archetypal movements many times, but I realize now that I never did it with this connecting again to the center in the chest in between. It was very helpful, and it's like, from one hand, gives a lot of power, activity. It's making the movement much easier, much natural. Like, and on the other hand, it's also like connecting this whole thing in like taking and giving, connecting it in between. It's very helpful to, in the meantime, quickly to connect to the center and then give from the center. It was very helpful for me. Didn't think about it before, so thank you very much.
Okay, let's find out how it works for you. That's an important point. Yeah. When is the most powerful effect you get from it? And in an easy, enjoyable way, not in a painful way. And for all our movement training, for everything with the movements, we need to have the center in the chest as the center for movements. We build up a sense for the movement even through that center in the chest for that. The center in the chest has different functions, not only that, but for the movement it is very important. And when one is later then having different centers to work for characterization with different centers, and out of that also the actions and the gestures of a character have another connection and starting point to this personal artistic center of this character, then we know how we can work with that. We study it first in an archetypal way, and that helps us to relate it then also into the artistic practice. Yeah, thank you.
Can I say one thing? I was so surprised about like the sort of freedom I felt. The freedom you always talk about, I didn't really realize before, but now I just felt like this freedom with the time, just allowing myself to be really with the movement itself. And it just felt like it was so big. It was just enormous inside of me, just allowing and really feeling that freedom of the movement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite rich.
Very, very good sensation. The training of the archetypal gestures, and even from exercise 1, gives you for your body, for your feeling in your body, a wonderful sense of freedom in relationship to your body. Yeah, that's one effect also. It's all so deep. Okay. We are coming to the end of the time, the expected time, and at least I don't want to extend it too much. Would you like to get a kind of a imagination, just a concentration exercise for the times you would like to do something? Or how do you feel with that? I speak it out and I will write it then also, and I send it to all who were invited also as a written thing. You know the concentration exercise we have done, and if not go to the book and look to the basic central concentration exercise, try to find a relationship to it. I say now you know it and you have done it, and try to do that with a piece of a landscape or piece of a view of your garden, concentrate to that garden, go out to there and try to that, to become one with it in the end, and then turn to it and be concentrated with this kind of a part of a landscape. You can do it at a lake for all what you see in front of you. It's very much what you need on concentration, to observing, have a relationship, but then go to it and mentally also let it come to you and merge with it, become one with it, so that of course you see the landscape there, but you have, through that concentration power, you become one with it in the same way archetype said, through your center in the chest. So then you have a kind of a wider view for your concentration, not the focused. Yeah, when you look to a part of a landscape, or into your garden, that's a more wider perspective, and this is in the direction of the open concentration. Take it. With your mind, you are there, you take it here, and do something different, but stay in contact with it. That is an experiment one may try out. Do it one time a day for a few days and see what does it do to you. How does it help you also to develop this power of perceiving something and be with something connected much more intensive, and maybe also sometimes much faster, entering a new space, and through that training, I know. It's very nice to do that in the springtime. This is wonderful, bursting nature. Here, on this part of the earth, maybe in Australia, it's a little bit more, but also not so bad. Good. Okay. I will write this exercise, and in this writing exercise, I give another suggestion. You will read this then, and this is more for exploration and having fun, and I name it now. It's just to try to make archetypal gestures simply with your hand and fingers. This may be an interesting transformation to try that, but the first is explore what is an archetypal gesture for some of the gestures in daily life. Okay. I would say that we not to extend this session too long, that we skip or shorten very much this part. What should be in, it's just general questions out of your practical training or out of your experiences. What I would like to hear from you for now is, if you or if anybody tried out something to connect to someone through that space, how does it felt like? How did you feel in your space that you felt? Oh, that sounds so mystical. Oh my God. Did you felt something that you felt somebody, you are not alone in your space? Let's say it very carefully. And could you hold this screen in a certain distance to you? Is there any experience, even when it is, of course, maybe was not possible 100% all that time? This is an interesting experience anyway. But is there anybody who could say something about that or would like to do it?
I experienced that doing that in the beginning of the training was helping me to be more present and to reach a more concrete feeling of my center. So it was, yeah, directly I could have feeling this impact. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm. Someone else, any experience with it when you tried out such a experiment?
Yeah, for me it was also very helpful to reach out. So I really felt connected to that person, and I could, you know, all this sending, I had someone to send, even if it was not necessary, but it helped me to, yeah, not just be on my own and do things in outer space somewhere. For me, it's difficult to distance from the screen. It helps me if I, yeah, shut myself, yeah, close the camera. So that helps me to, and go away from the screen, just listen. So.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for me as well, it was so much fun because it was like traveling. And I imagine really myself going there and trying to imagine what was behind what I'm not seeing. Like, you know, like to get to that room where the person is, what should I do? Like, where is, like, okay, so I don't know, it was very nice, very nice. And I felt, yeah, like something went there. And it didn't stay the whole time, I forgot. But I mean, at the beginning, yeah, something was there with my imagination, and it was very nice. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I also felt it was very subtle, and it felt almost a bit like a protection. I had it in the beginning, and then after I forgot about it, and it felt for me, I just could go away from myself a bit. It was like kind of protection in a way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I also had some sort of experience of the kind, not knowing. I think now from today's session, I think I was not knowing exactly what I was doing then, because it happened some time ago. Well, we were communicating in Zoom, and I felt that I'm losing the attention of the person I was talking to. We were talking. There was a conference. There were about maybe 10, 12 of us all together. And I just tried to get connected, yeah, through the center. Now I understand that. But somehow I kind of traveled exactly to that place. Maybe because I wanted to shake the person physically. I don't know. I had this intention. And what was happening, yeah, I kind of traveled through the screen to that person, and that was weird because I understood that I knew I was sitting at home in front of the screen, in front of my place in my room, but at the same time I was looking at it kind of from a side.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it makes sense, but yeah, and so it helped. At least it helped me to get connected, yeah, to the person in question. And yes, Maria, yeah, traveling around and wanting to find the book somewhere or just see what's behind the curtain. Yeah, I was beginning to imagine things. And coming back, can I talk about this coming back thing? I was looking at the screen, what's behind the person, yeah, where he is, with more concentration probably. So the space started to matter, not only the person talking, not only the body, the face, but also the space he was in. So that's with me. But again, I did that not knowing exactly what I was doing. It was at some point like, where are you? What are you doing? Come back.
Okay, yeah. And was it possible for someone with this holding the screen in distance? How is that?
Yeah, for me, well, reaching out to the person, I didn't do so well because I changed person. But and I don't know. I also thought about you being in Berlin, and I got confused or distracted. But the keeping the screen away worked really well. I've had the feeling that I have a tendency to do this in daily life as well a little bit. That like the person, that everything about a person is coming to me a little bit in a way. Like and actually doing this helped me much more to be with myself, just to be here and be very concentrated and be in my own body and yeah, to have the space for myself a little bit but still be connected in a way. It was very helpful to to create space, and that also felt a bit like a protection, or I don't know, like to have your own space, and yeah, and your consent.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, and anybody else? Is there something what one would like to express? You can also write to me, and maybe when we switch off now and finish our session, everybody can take a moment and look to your general sensation, how you feel like, such, yeah, 1 hour 45 minutes session. What happens in your body? How is your mind? How is your feeling power? How is your willpower? Out of that session we had just now, and maybe you can find a relationship to the way how you were concentrated in that way and in this way. Maybe I would be interested to hear from you about that, and otherwise it's also okay. And maybe we see us again. Let's say we step across the threshold, everybody individual for yourself. And everybody may, if you like, imagine all the other 13 people. We have 14 in this, had 14 in this meeting, and do the golden hoop, even when it is not at the same time for everybody. You do it, maybe with radiation to this person as far as you can. Remember, radiate into that space, and we do the golden hoop as it is possible. Okay, everybody, you will get an email anyway, and these persons who were not receiving the emails, like Daria and some, you can please contact me if you like to get it then I will put you on the list. Yeah, and so we can finish our third meeting here in this crazy times. That was the third meeting of 3, and if there is another series after 2 weeks, we will see. Let me know if anybody is interested. Please let me know, and maybe we need such things further, maybe we don't, and it would be better we could meet in real. Thank you very much for everybody to being with this session now, and I'm looking forward to meet you real and also get sharing with you your experiences with the work, your new sparks you got and new experience and questions what comes out, so that we can develop it together further and further to next steps. There is a funny phrase in our time. I would stay in creativity. That's the most important point. Thank you very much. All the best, and see you wherever, whenever.